I think this is the last election. If Trump doesn't win, this is the last election.
I think you're right. Has anybody tried
And
to
I
push
just want to
back?
go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does.
I'm not in the camp of someone who I don't really think endorsements tend to matter that much.
Mainstream media is upset because Joe Rogan is bigger than all of these platforms pretty much combined. And they don't want to give Joe Rogan his proper credit. And it's very interesting to see CNN be so salty about a Joe Rogan endorsement and try to play it off as if it's nothing. All right, y'all. So just moments before the election, well, hours before election day, right? Joe Rogan had Elon Musk on his podcast, and he wrote this just 12 hours ago. He said, "The great and powerful at Elon Musk, if it wasn't for him, we'd be effed. He makes what I think is the most compelling case for Trump you'll hear, and I agree with him every step of the way. For the record, yes, that's an endorsement of Trump. Enjoy the podcast." Now, this podcast already has 23 million views just on X. So 23 million views on X. I think when I looked at it on YouTube, it probably had like 7 or 8 million views. And then who knows how many millions of views he has on Spotify. And then the same thing I said yesterday. You remember yesterday we were talking about, the prediction that what's the name of that professor who's been correct 9 out of the last 10 elections? He predicted that Kamala was going to win based on his 13 keys. And I said, from a popularity standpoint, Kamala Harris is getting absolutely washed. And this is another example, because I didn't even think about this, but Joe Rogan, he posted the Donald Trump podcast on X because there were people saying that they were having trouble finding the podcast on YouTube because there's been speculation that YouTube has been trying to suppress that podcast. On X, it has 21 million views. So you got YouTube has like 43 million views. On X, it has 21 million views. And then who knows how many millions of views it has on Spotify. So this is a very major endorsement. But it's so interesting because you have mainstream media. And I think for the most part, mainstream media is upset because Joe Rogan is bigger than all of these platforms pretty much combined. And they don't want to give Joe Rogan his proper credit. And it's very interesting to see CNN be so salty about a Joe Rogan endorsement and try to play it off as if it's nothing. Let me play this clip.
Look, I'm not in the camp of someone who I don't really think endorsements tend to matter that much. I wondered about Taylor Swift, and I do wonder about Joe Rogan. Brad, do you think that this actually moves the needle?
Well, I think Donald Trump's opponent today is not so much Kamala Harris as it is the Xbox. He needs people who are young males who might not think voting matters and they think the Xbox more fun to get off that couch and go to vote. And
That's a really interesting, it's a very sharp way to put that.
And I think Joe Rogan is important in that demographic. I think Elon Musk is important in that demographic. John Fetterman in Pennsylvania says that a lot of young males think that Elon Musk is Tony Stark. And so I think that's actually a pretty important endorsement for him. So I do think it's been a unique strategy. And, Donald Trump's interview with Joe Rogan has been downloaded 90 million times. That's a third of the country. That's a really, really big reach.
I think it's very interesting how they try to downplay it. They try to act like it's not a big deal when Joe Rogan is pulling ratings that far exceed anything that CNN is even dreaming of at this moment in time. So of course it's a big deal. And for her to sit there and say it's not a big deal, I think it just speaks to how much fear they actually have of these new platforms that have essentially taken their audience and taken their reach. Now, Trump was doing a campaign last night. I think he hit like all the battleground states last night. This is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He had Megyn Kelly come and talk as well. And I believe this is the moment where he just received the news that Joe Rogan endorsed him. I don't know if he has like a earpiece in. It looks like he might have like a custom earpiece in his ear because he's receiving information, it seems like, in real time.
Whoa. Oh, wow. I have some more big news, Megyn. I'm just getting this right now. So somebody that's very, very respected asked me to do his show 2 weeks ago, and I said, why not? And to me, it's very big because he's the biggest there is, I guess, in that world by far. Somebody said the biggest beyond anybody in a long time. And his name is Joe Rogan, and he's never done this before. And it just came over the wires that Joe Rogan just endorsed me. Is that great? Thank you, Joe. That's so nice. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. So. And he tends to be a little bit more liberal than some of the people in this room. No, I had a lot of fun, and he was amazing. And it was a 3-hour interview. In fact, I was 2 hours late for a rally that we had. I had explained that a little bit. And it was cold out that night. We flew, but we had to make it. We were more than 2 hours late. And they understood. I said, I just was interviewed by a very interesting guy, and he just kept going on. They called it a long form, and it could have gone a lot longer, but he was great. And he's not a person that does endorsements, but he did an endorsement. So I just want to thank Joe Rogan. That's fantastic.
Yeah, he's right. He doesn't really endorse people. I mean, I remember a few months ago, Joe Rogan, he had spoke about RFK and essentially said that RFK was going to be the only person that the only person that made sense to him. So this article was August 8th, 2024. Joe Rogan praises RFK, saying he's the only one that makes sense to me, but later says he wasn't endorsing the presidential candidate. So it says Joe Rogan, after a backlash among Donald Trump supporters over Rogan's comments praising RFK, said he was not endorsing the candidate. For the record, this isn't an endorsement. This is me saying that I like RFK Jr. as a person, and I really appreciate the way he discusses things with civility and intelligence. You almost got me with that word. I think we could use more people like that in this world, Rogan said on a post Friday on X. Rogan added, I also think Trump raising his fist and saying fight after getting shot is one of the most American effing things of all time. And wrote, I'm not the guy to get political information from. Trump, meanwhile, lashed out at Rogan over the podcaster's support of RFK. It'll be interesting to see how loudly Joe Rogan gets booed the next time he enters the UFC ring. MAGA 2024, Trump posted on Friday on Truth, the social network operated by Trump Media. So I didn't even know Trump said that. So Rogan essentially said, I don't have the full quote of what he said, but he essentially said that, he likes RFK because he's the only one out of the candidates that isn't attacking the person, but he's attacking the issues and he's offering real solutions. And then obviously Trump, took some offense to that and said what I just read. Now we're here. Now he's endorsing him. And I think it really comes because of this. This interview, I think, really opened Joe Rogan's eyes and led him to leverage his platform to endorse Donald Trump. I'm going to play this clip. This is just a brief clip from the conversation. I haven't even watched this interview yet, but let's play this clip.
I'll say it again, man. I think this is the last election. If Trump doesn't win, this is the last election.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think people, and a lot of people are waking up and realize that have been lifelong Democrats. Guys like Bill Ackman, guys like Chamath.
Yeah, exactly.
Tulsi Gabbard switched over to the Republicans. Yep. There's a lot of people who their whole life they've been left-wing and they realize, I can't do this anymore.
You and I used to be Democrats.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's nuts, man. If the Dems win this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California. There will be no escape.
That is so insane.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried to push back?
And I just want to go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does.
So there it is. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if we have any. Well, I think it might be too early to see what's going on. It might be too early, but we'll keep it posted and we'll see what goes on today. I think it's going to be a crazy day, but at the end of it, I think we have to remember what's most important. Regardless of who is in office, Jesus Christ is on the throne, right? We have a kingdom, an unbreakable kingdom, an eternal kingdom. And I think that's got to be the main focus, because a lot of people are going to be upset. No matter what happens, people are going to be upset. You know, if Trump gets into office, people are going to be upset. If Kamala gets into office, people are going to be upset. So the one thing that we have that can unify everybody is Jesus Christ. And I just pray that people open up their eyes and, you know, wake up to that. Because that's the truth, you know. Let me know what you think. Get in my comments, like this video. I'm out, y'all.